I think Brago was like, hey, like, Garp's gonna die soon, and it's like, oh, Kiji's gonna one-shot him, and I'm like, whoa, that's happening?
Did he
I almost
actually
forgot.
say that?
No.
Oh, okay.
I just love putting words in people's mouth.
Yeah.
I do that all the time for you too. Sometimes I'm like, hey, you'll never believe it, babe, but Par said that.
Oh my god.
Okay, that needs to be beeped out.
Yeah.
Oh,
we'll bring it back.
Guys. Welcome in, guys, to One Piece. It's another break week episode where we're talking to Par. This time around, we're talking about Garp.
Oh yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yes,
wait, are we actually? Or are you just?
No, we are. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because we're going through the Egghead Arc or saga, whatever you want to call it.
Imagine you just
Egghead.
You leave in the beginning. You bleep in for like entire minute. And we bring back the old Sai, you know what I mean?
No. Old Sai is gone. Today, we're just here to leave him in the past, just like Garp. We're here to talk about Garp and his situation at Hachinosu. We are hitting the entirety of Egghead so far, and this is the next stepping stone.
Right.
And with that being the case, Par, now that it's been, I think, 15 weeks since we've been with Garp.
What? Really?
I think so. I think it's been 15 weeks.
God.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy.
Yeah.
15 weeks?
It's kind of wild when you think about it, huh? I just felt it. It's because I'm Asian. It's in the bloodstream.
I was going to say, oh my God.
I don't have DNA. I have
It's in the lineage factor, bro.
Yeah, it's in the lineage factor.
You take out the devil, you extract the green blood from Sai, you're just good at math.
And trust me, when it comes to old people, I can perfectly calculate the last time they've been on air.
Like, and Stephen Hawkins is the math root, but let me tell you, Sai is the mythical zone, the math god.
Stephen Hawkins. Oh, the math god. I like to imagine my mythical zone is just Stephen Hawking.
A few moments later.
Sorry guys, we just woke up.
He said it needs to be close because he couldn't go far. Oh no.
Oh dang. That's kind of cool, man. The Stephen Hawking fruit would go ham.
No shot. We were talking about old men, and you asked me about Garp. So go into another old and slow, as some of the community likes to refer to Garp. What was the question about Garp? Did you even get to that part?
Hey, welcome in, guys, to another One Piece episode. We got Par here, and we're here to talk about Garp on Hachinosu and what we think of that. Now that the time has simmered, or the idea has simmered, the chapters have simmered in our brains, we just want to regurgitate what we think, or if our opinions have changed over the course of time, right? Because the feelings we have day 1 aren't going to be the feelings we have week 15. Yeah, something like that. Day 15. So, Par, what do you think about Garp? Do you think he's going to die still?
Yeah, he's going to die. I think... I've always said this. It's a question of when, not why or how. I guess, one thing, though, that did kind of change since then is Garling showing up, right?
Yeah.
Him showing up and then the role he played, it feels like, one, there's new context of Garp not liking celestial dragons, right? Does he... Because, at the end of the day, we don't know why he doesn't like celestial dragons per se, right? Because...
Why would he hate those guys?
No, because
goodness gracious, Charles,
the human auction house is there, and he's having a conversation about it. He's like, "Oh, good old Rayleigh, just having fun at the slave trade." You know what I mean? He knows about it.
Yeah, he knows about it.
And but
I don't think he likes the slave trade though, right?
Yeah, I don't think so either. But he's also he's standing on Maridra, and then he has observation hockey short. So when Fukaboshi was just something's not right about this moving around here, Garp is just eating crackers over the slaves wheeling it. And if that were Luffy, right? What would Luffy do? Luffy would be
Garp turned off his observation hockey.
And at the end of the day, there's a weird context, and I'm half joking here, guys, but now the door is open. Maybe he doesn't like the celestial dragons because Garling is just stronger than him or something like that. Some annoying ass thing. He's stronger and he stands Like, the reason why Garp couldn't free the Celestial Dragon or free the slaves is because Garling is there. Like, we just don't... I'm joking with that, but I feel like before when I said Garp is gonna die, there was always like oh man, like I wish Luffy got to interact with Garp before, or like, was present when he passes away for added drama and effect and trauma as well on top of the drama. But then now it's like, and also he's like the only person. You know what? No, he's gonna die for sure, because what the other thing was, we needed him for God Valley flashback, because my knowledge at that prior, especially on Wano, was like, okay, if we're not getting it from Big Mom, Rocks isn't there, Whitebeard is dead. If we're not getting it from Kaido, then we're gonna get it from Garp. And the logic was he's the only living person who like has firsthand experience that like played like an active role at the top. But now that Garling is there, Garp could just, I feel maybe it's even more of a death flag that Garling showed up, because now we don't even need Garp for the flashback. We have Garling now. Huh. I didn't think about that.
I still think Garp is going to give us the flashback, but I also still think Garp is going to die too. The introduction of Garling, in my opinion, is awesome, because it explains why Garp, to me, like, wouldn't want to talk about God's Valley, because him teaming up with Roger, I feel like he wouldn't really care about. Him protecting the Celestials, it's like, it's his job, he doesn't like them, but would that really make him not want to talk about it? The introduction of Garling being the champion of God's Valley, right? Like a key figure, it's like, whoa, okay. Garling definitely showed Garp or Roger up, or did something like that, or maybe he saved Garp's life, and Garp is like, I don't like Garling, he's a Celestial. And that makes so much more sense to me now. But it's also like the introduction of Garling. You brought up a good point. Like, is Garp stronger than Garling? Like where? How do we scale this dude? Like, Shanks' dad, right? Like, Luffy's. If I didn't tell you that Garp was Luffy's grandpa, like we just did not know this, and then we just hear like, hey, Luffy has a grandpa, we would expect him to be strong, right? Just like some random dude, like, oh, Luffy has a grandpa, we don't know who Garp is. Oh, dude's probably really powerful. Now take Shanks and now put that into perspective. Like, okay, Shanks, his dad or grandpa, uncle, person in his family, right? It's like, guy's probably pretty strong.
Yeah.
So, when you think about it, technically Garling should be up there. Is he stronger than Garp? Who knows? But there's some bad blood there for sure.
And like, we know Garp is really strong. Like, we know at this point.
He's a monster.
Yeah, like we can't even like contextualize his strength, because we saw in his old age like what he's capable of, and even that was like unfathomable for the One Piece verse. And so as far as
it's like, half his mast.
Yeah, like and so as far as what Garling has shown, right? Like or is representative of, there's always the thing about titles and like how valid titles are and where they come from. And the thing about Garps is that we've had many a times that these titles that the Marines give their heroes isn't the full context, right? Smoker's the hero of Arabasta. Go back and read Arabasta. What did Smoker do? He like
Nothing,
at the end
bro.
Like I think one of Smoker's most incredible feats is in Arabasta, and that's stalemating against Ace. And like, you guys can do with
dude,
what
everybody
you want
stalemates against Ace. My man.
And
Yamato does that. Jimbei does that. Literally everyone Ace runs into, he stalemates them. And I feel like that's just Oda's way of not saying who's stronger than like one another.
It's exactly.
Like,
and so now you have the situation where it's like Ace stalemated against Jimbei, a warlord, and Yamato, son of Kaido, daughter of Kaido, whatever, right? And it's like, so now Smoker is Yamato level? Oh my god, like that's so crazy. Oh my god, because you also have to take into account Smoker fought Ace after.
Yeah, after all of those. After the Jimbei fight for like 7 days, after the Yamato clash. My man, it's funny, but me and my wife just watched 10:15 or 10:14 where or Yamato has the Ace flashback, and then Yamato's like, yeah, Ace beat me in a fight. And then my wife was like, what? I was like, no, like, trust me, that doesn't actually happen. And the context of the fight was they clashed, and then Yamato was like, you got me, Ace. And I was like, no way. I was like, bro, why are they giving Ace these weird W's? Like, don't get me wrong, Ace is, he's strong in the Vivre cards, he has hockey, but at the same time, homeboy got one shot. Like, I don't know, man.
Yamato should have been clowning on that.
Yeah,
Ace.
technically Yamato should have smashed Ace. Considering Yamato can clash with Hybrid Kaido.
And this was like a little over 2 years ago. So this is like that Ace lost, like, it was then like I hate to do this, but then that Ace lost to Blackbeard.
I think this is like the second or third time where we try to do a collab and we just go into Ace slander. And it's painful because, like, I know Ace has like a really loud fan base, right? But it's not like we hate Ace. It's just I don't even think it's hate. It's just like power scaling in shonen is rough. And I don't envy Oda's position. He's got to make Ace look decent. He's got to make these characters look decent. So they got to clash and we just have to accept it, right?
Right. And
we just got to accept it.
I don't even remember where this was beginning, but the hero of Arabasta.
Yeah, Smoker. My bad. I sidetracked this pretty hard right there.
No, I mean, like, at the end of the day, I think Ace is one. Like, we talk about Enel, we talk about Crocodile in terms of power scaling. Ace is the one with the goofiest one because he's tied to Blackbeard, Yamato, like Smoker, and it's like Smoker. Yeah, Jinbei,
and then a Kainu one shot. Oh.
Yeah, so now he can one-shot Yamato. I don't even know, but it's fine, whatever. Going back to it, it's like we have that. We have Kobe, hero of what's it called? Rocky Port. We don't know the context. But then we get, like, Law was the mastermind. Blackbeard got an island from it. And it's like, so then what did Kobe do? Why was he the hero? And then even he's, like, shy about it. We get the nuance of Fujitora. Fujitora is, like, the hero of Dressrosa in a lot of ways, but, like, we understand the reality of that situation. So it's like, you know, we get multiple times of what the hero of something in regards to the Navy, and it's just a pirate that did most of the work, and then it gets offshooted to a prominent Navy person.
Stolen Valor Pirate Edition.
Yeah, and then Roger and Luffy are parallels, so much so that, like, I don't blame people for thinking, like, hey, is Garp legitimate? And the thing was, I was never on board because it's like, you can't say that Garp is Smoker of our timeline because he was strong. And then finally in chapter 1080, we get the demonstration. Yes, he's strong. Like, we can't keep on saying that he's this fraud. And now even more so, it's like, what happened on this island for him to be the hero? But then you have a celestial dragon, supreme commander of the Holy Knights there, who wasn't mentioned, and you have Roger. It's like,
all like, I was versus Rocks, my man. Rocks is actually the strongest character in the verse at this point. I am convinced. Like, if he's taken these 3 dudes at once.
It's wild to me because it's like, if you want to accept the theory that, people are saying there's like, I think there's like a solid split in people who want to think that Whitebeard got his scar that he was talking about in the earlier chapter from Garling, or a solid amount of people I've spoken to think that it is just Roger. Like, Oda was not thinking about Garling in that line. And that's fair, right? Whatever you want to think, but, like, regardless, right? Let's think about it. If that was Garling who did that, that would mean, like, Whitebeard got little broed by, like, Garling, and it's like, so that, like, what did this even look like? And then even when Sengoku brought up this in 957, which is my major point in my Fraud Valley thing, it's like, you can't trust Sengoku. You absolutely cannot. And now, like, more than anything, it's like, everything that he said in that chapter is a complete lie to me, because you can't just not mention the distinguished man, supreme commander of the Holy Knights, and expect the story to hold any kind of light. Like, that whole chapter is washed, in my opinion. It's like, well, I don't even know what to think anymore, because, like,
I trust Sengoku, right? Because so you think you don't trust him because he didn't mention Garling?
I think that, like, the context of what he said is wildly skewed. He didn't give us Garp's story. Garp doesn't want to tell us his story. He didn't mention the guy who's distinguished now. And then it's like, even if you want to take his word verbatim, right? So many people are like, wait, so Garp and Roger, reasonably thinking that Garp is strong and Roger's strong, beat all of Rox's crew. And it's like, where and then it's like, is Rock so unfathomably strong that he could box all three of them? And it's like, then how did he even lose? And it's like, even if you want to play with like the levels, right, and you make Rocks really, really strong, it's like, but does that make sense with what their crew was and how it felt and what they discussed? There's so many like misalignments things that I feel like Sengoku was just, like the chapter said, he heard stuff from Garp, he read the news headlines, and that's it. And
I think that's
the rest
fair.
of the chapter.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And plus,
I think
he's Garp's best friend, right? Like, if I said, hey, Par, I have a birthmark on my butt cheek. Please don't tell anybody. What are you going to do? You go on and you're like, hey, guys, I heard that Sai might have something down there. I'm not going to say what it is. I'm going to omit some details, right? Like, that's what Sengoku did for Garp, right? Like, he didn't want to talk about Garling. Sengoku omitted it.
I never took it, at least in the video, right? Outside of it, the personality comes out and Sengoku's a fraud, whatever, right? But in the video, my
marine agenda's hurting. How dare you?
My take in the video is the viewer shouldn't trust what the Navy man has to say. And
hey, it was a Navy man to other Navy men. I believe in Sengoku. Personality-wise, morality-wise, questionable, right? Like, debates can be had there. But if I had to put my life in somebody's hands, I would be A-okay with Sengoku.
Hey, Sengoku is sitting in the recent chapter saying like, "Oh,
before
we gotta neutralize Cross Guild. We gotta neutralize Cross Guild."
Before retirement, I gotta throw that out there. Now he's just eating crackers. But before retirement, that guy's a monster.
Isn't he out of retirement now? I thought people said that.
I don't know if he's out of retirement. I mean, it's like Garp, right? Like, he's kind of retired, but he's also doing things still. Like, you can, when you're a hero of the Navy and the former fleet admiral, you can kind of do whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're literally still walking around Navy bases. When Sengoku and Garp said they were going to retire, like, pre-time skip, I thought we would see them in a nursing home. But here we have them. They're still active. Like, okay. They're chilling, bro. They're chilling.
So, like, with the whole Garp situation, bringing it back with, like, all of this, it's like Oda increased the importance of other characters now, that now the importance that, like, God Valley was intrinsically important to all of Garp's character. And it's like, will Oda have Garp leave the story with that intact and then later, like, alter it with a character like Garling and the Holy Knights? And right, because that feels less real to me. Like, I feel like he needs to be alive and him to, like, demonstrate it. I would much rather him, like again, I'm not on the boat that he was a fraud at God Valley. I think that there's a circumstance that allows all of the characters to be strong, like Rocks to be strong, all of the characters to be incredibly strong. The name God's Valley, I think, like, the hype of it is going to live, but it's like, is it going to be painted in the same way that Sengoku did? Not necessarily, because he didn't mention one of probably the most important character there, which was a celestial dragon warrior who, like, at this point in the story is probably the, like, most realistically down to earth strong character, right? Because we don't know what the hell the Gorosei were doing, right? They pulled out guns and swords, but then they turned into blobs, and we don't know what those blobs are yet. But this man, like, is sitting legs crossed on a chair. He was like, he had the admiral chair sit up. He was like, he has like the hairdo. He has, like, of a strong character. He has a sword, right? Like, he has everything that does. Like,
what if he's a fraud though?
If he's a fraud, I did hear that. I did hear that
because
this
mimics
I don't think so.
Green Bull, right? Like, we were introduced to Green Bull in Wano, and then 3-week break. And then we come back, and then Green Bull's getting boxed by, like, Momonosuke and everybody. Like, what if that happens here, where, like, we come back, like, in 2 weeks or week and a half-ish, we get the next chapter, and then it's like, whoa, Garland got beat by Mosgard. Cyan Leo just tail-hammered him.
As
like,
much
Mosgard
as
came back from the dead. Like, what if it's something like that?
As much as I meme on Green Bull, I don't think he's a fraud. Right?
I don't think he is either. I love Green Bull, dude.
I think the worst case scenario
cool devil fruit.
Is
cool
he's
glasses,
smoker,
man.
Like,
and the tattoo. Sorry.
I like he looks so cool, and that honestly translate. Like, I think Smoker at the end of the day should be regarded as a strong character. He's always paired with strong characters. He's always facing, Punk Hazard aside, like he's relatively like he's, in Marineford, he was paired against like warlords, right? Like, so
yeah,
it's like, you should put him in that realm of power. At Stampede, he was with the warlords, like,
and he was clashing Sanji.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, like I feel like,
bro, he's getting the ace clashes.
And so for Green Bull, I'm like, he's facing all of the scabbards, right? Like maybe like all of the scabbards are fighting Kaido, right? Like so it's not like that Green Bull is Kaido world like, but more so like the
scabbards are strong. But
yeah,
Kaido was like way stronger. Like when I'm like I said, I'm going back and rewatching Wano right now, and seeing the scabbards try to fight Kaido, it was kind of sad because like when you really know the whole fight and how it's supposed to go, it's like, dang, they really just took down like 5% health. Like they didn't really do that much.
All
That's
of the scabbards
sad.
Versus Doflamingo.
Oh, scabbards for sure.
All of the scabbards versus Jack.
Oh, the scabbards for sure, because it took one to beat
all
him
of
down.
The scabbards versus Queen.
Yeah.
And this is probably where it might, but all of the scabbards versus King.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, you know what I mean? Like all of the scabbards, I think that's kind of like in my head. I still haven't put out this video, but it was surrounding Mihawk, in terms of how people, like, I was trying to denounce like the fraud allegations, but like to me, the way Oda does power scaling when he can't devote a lot of time to the story for these characters, it's by association. So like you look at who this person was facing, and you look at like why Oda put them against that, and it's like all the scabbard. Yeah, you can meme on each individual, but like at the end of the day, all of the scabbards combined, they are a force to be reckoned with, as meme as that is. Like, because at the end of the day, like, I could now throw it back and say all the scabbards versus Zoro, right? Like, I feel like Zoro, like, I feel like most people are like Zoro, right? Like, all the scabbards versus Luffy, right? It's so hard, but there's a reason why Oda didn't like make that ever like a thing, right?
I think it's just the gap. I think it's the gap between like beating King versus beating Kaido, right? Like it's it's night and day. So like, yeah, the scabbards can beat, if they all work together, Full Moon, Sulong, they can probably take down King, right? They took down Jack one-on-one. So they could probably all together take down King. But the gap from that to Kaido, though, it's like, whoa.
So if we can say reasonably that King is really strong and we have the 9 scabbards over King, then what we can say is Green Bull is above 9 scabbards-ish and below Shanks and Kaido, which is like, that's a healthy
but hear me
level.
out. My Admiral agenda doesn't like that part. Don't hit me with the facts. Agenda's all that matters here, Par. I can't believe you.
Hey, I'm trying to help you out.
I'm gonna beep this all out, and you're just gonna say Green Bull strong. just a long beep, and I'm just only gonna get the parts that work for my narrative.
This is the part you decide to beep, not the crazy intro you had.
We had 3 different intros, which I don't know if people are gonna see, but hey,
you're gonna like. I think you should keep all the intros in and just bleep the first entirely, half of the second one, and then just keep it in. But so as far as people saying like, oh, last year Green Bull had this treatment and then he got memed on and whatever, I don't see it necessarily as that, even though I've been having a lot of fun with memeing on Green Bull. I doubt, right? It's a Garland, right? We're not memeing on Shanks's birthright. There's no shot. Like, I feel like at the end of the day, the biggest plot armor you could have in the entire story is being related to Shanks. Like,
I don't disagree. Shanks is a pretty broken person.
Like,
he
the
is
moment
broken.
You are in his world, like, bloodline. Hey, listen.
Especially with that did you watch the last episode of One Piece? With the Kid in Law versus Big Mom?
Oh, I didn't watch. I saw like most of it though.
If you saw the clip where like kids getting beaten down like for a solid 3 or 4 minutes, you take that kid and he gets back up and he fights more.
That's what-
It's like, yo, like this is the same kid that got one tap. Like Shanks' power level is insane, which is kind of where I've always been. It's not like I never thought Kid was weak. I simply thought that Shanks was just very OP, and I feel like this solidifies it. Big Mom's whipping out one of her strongest attacks, and Kid is just like taking it. He gets it back up too. That's wild.
No, because that was so. A lot of people remember Kid getting like pounded on during the Big Mom fight, right? And so like I always brought it back to like not always brought it back, but when that happened, I did bring it back. But like in the manga versus the manga, it's like you you get
manga versus
panels.
anime.
No, like in like in the what's it called, like Shanks versus Kid versus Big Mom versus Kid, right? Like when you look at the manga and you look at the manga, it's like there's a lot of room for what happens in between. Like a lot of people are like, oh, like it's not that big of a difference, right? Like Shanks probably didn't do that much more, but then you compare it to now the anime versus the manga, and it's like, whoa, they made Kid take a lot. And my point back then was a lot of people didn't remember this, but also in that episode was they highlighted it, which I'm glad. A lot of people talked about you remember when there was Kid versus Law debates, and like, oh, Kid has so much more durability than Law. I was like, yo, Law took a upfront beating from
Law.
Big Mom.
Man, okay, Law took an upfront beating, but it was the weirdest beating I've ever seen. And I remember thinking this back when the manga first came out. I said, why doesn't Law's sword can go down further? So why doesn't he just stay in the air and just come from above and just stay a safe distance away? Like, in my mind, he didn't need to take that beating, but I was like, all right, it looks cool though. It's so fine.
I don't know how the anime did it, but in the manga, the way I interpreted it, because he did something similar with Kaido, was I think Big Mom was demonstrating her speed feats in like she's incredibly fast on top of being incredibly big, so he didn't want to miss. That's what my interpretation was in the manga, that he needed to do it point blank in order not to miss and waste his awakening like thing, because she already got hit by it. And so, like, knowing that she'd be like, mama, and then she'd be like, you think that'd work on me twice, right? And then, versus that time, he needed to go point blank, take the beat down. But a lot of people breezed by the fact that he took, like I don't know if people know this, but your powerhouse is close to your body. This is where you're the strongest. And versus like punching outwards, you lose strength the moment you extend. But like here, you're doing that. Law was taking it. And I think the anime like showed it in a very similar light with Kid, where you just see Law going, and then he's
they're not looking good, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, they are looking good durability wise, but dang. Imagine getting this beat down now and standing up and still fighting compared to losing to Doflamingo like a month ago.
Hey,
still wild timeline wise.
Law was getting a mental beat down against Doflamingo. That arguably,
there we go.
That's a thematic.
Hey, headcanon.
Stockholm syndrome, guys. Okay, like that.
The mentality is it was shot during that arc.
Yeah, exactly.
So back to the OG thing. We were talking about Garp a little bit, and the last thing we said, the last thing we said, I think maybe like 50 minutes ago, we mentioned we were talking about God's Valley and if the flashback would happen while he's alive or when he's dead. And we were talking about the impact of it and why we would like one certain way over another. And I think we both are in agreement that we would like the flashback while he's alive. And that's kind of where I'm at too, because I hate to bring it back to Ace and go on another tangent. But when Ace died, I don't think it was that impactful for me, because only after he died did we get his flashbacks. I feel like if they want to make us feel for Garp's character more, we need more of him. And I feel like God's Valley is like the perfect time for that personally.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons why I think God's Valley needs to happen while, or the explanation of it needs to happen while Garp is alive. And who knows, maybe we even get it during Hachinosu, right? There's still that chance. Maybe, good old Vasco Shot's like, hey, drink some liquor with me and let's talk about God's Valley.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen, but it's a possibility, I guess. Like 2%. But yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about it?
So I think like the Ace and Garp situation is a little different in the sense of personally, and I was gonna make a video about this. I have to get back to that person. But it was that, like, for me, and I feel like he had like a thing about this too. I might be making this up, but for me, the way I saw the Ace moment, especially younger, it was that, like, he didn't want us to be sad, like, personally, like how most like a Jiraiya moment, right? It's like, damn, we saw him be like adopt Naruto in a lot of ways, right? And I'm bringing that up because, like, that's like a very well known, even if you don't know Naruto, Jiraiya gets like used, but
spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
What are you gonna do next? Spoil the Bible?
Hey, this is your channel. We spoil all of it. Someone said that in the 50-50, by the way, and I was just like, they're like, damn, bro, you spoiled the podcast. I'm like, oh my god. But
hey,
I mean, they were joking.
Here.
Yeah, I said with Sai here, we spoil everything. But with the Ace moment, I looked at it especially when it was happening, that it was like, you needed to be able to understand someone's pain from, like, losing someone that they're close to. So, like, I remember growing up, like, when my grandfather passed away, and it was like I was younger at the time. It was like a very weird thing, because, like, just like a lot of people, no one around me had like that happen to them, and so they didn't like have the sympathy of like understanding what that meant for me, even though I didn't have like a huge like you know, like, it's like, oh, did you live with your grandpa or whatever, right? And I ended up becoming close to someone who lived with their grandpa, and they were like, oh man, that's really rough. And it's like, that was like a bridge moment, but it was like basically like you know, in the Ace thing, it's like, we see how important Ace is to Luffy the entire time, and we care about Luffy. So given that Luffy is demonstrating this amount of emotion when normally he's like this like crackhead energy, kind of like abrasive character, not showing that much emotion, and then he cries about Ace, it's like, we should feel for that, right? And so, like, I think that's at the end of the day what he was trying to do with Ace. But I agree with you, because like, I think that there could have been more of a like, he could have given us more memories with Luffy and Ace along the way, rather than just show us like the lengths that he would go for. Like, this is a man who broke into prison, did the unthinkable, soloed, tried to run up on 3 admirals who one of them already killed him and his crew, basically. And so, you know, it was a bunch of that. And so as far as Garp goes, I feel like people have already created like a tight emotion with him, and I made like a few videos about him, and people are very passionate. So I feel like it could still go the route of like, we get the emotions afterwards and we get the flashback afterwards, and but at the same time, I personally, like you said, like I think that like, now that Garling has showed up, I kind of want Garp and Garling to face off. Not face off like in a fight kind of thing, but it might be like last time at God Valley, Garp had to bite the bullet, right? He had to bite the bullet of like, I need to help you guys, whatever that means. And but him not liking Celestial Dragons, which again, we don't necessarily know why, but he doesn't like Celestial Dragons. And well, we know, obviously I'm joking, we know why. It's a slave trade, like, woo, secret. But you know, and then he's with this Garling guy, and versus now he faces off with him, and maybe because Luffy exists, maybe now dragons exist, now he doesn't have to, you know what I mean? Maybe it's because Roger like wasn't the entity that it was, right? Roger didn't have 8 kingdoms behind him, right? Whereas Dragon does, and Luffy adds a whole another set of kingdoms behind him, right? So maybe Garp does switch over, and I kind of want to see that. I want to see Garp more than anything not redeem himself, because that's not how I look at it, because I think the Navy, like, he's like locked in with the Navy, so like whatever they do, he kind of has to, he's like implicit with it. So like at Marineford, he had to, he was conflicted, right? The Navy, the Marines is his baby because he's like the hero of the Marines, and the world that the Navy exists in right now is fathered by him. And then also Ace. So it's like he was fighting between 2 children in a lot of ways. And so, but now that Kobe can be the future, and he can start like maybe fighting for his own, full justice, maybe we get a plot line where he does the opposite of Marineford and he goes against celestial dragons. He goes against the world government, something that maybe he's been wanting to do this entire time, but he hasn't because he couldn't do it alone. But now he has Kobe, Dragon, Luffy all fighting for essentially the same thing. And maybe Kuzan. We don't know where Kuzan's at. And that's kind of where we come back to Pirate Island, because we don't know necessarily, like, I think you and I probably agree that Kuzan is more or less he's like independent. He's a free agent, and it's just that Blackbeard is kind of like, yo, you could be a free agent here. You don't have to be like with the admirals and doing things that are against your agenda. Whatever that means for Blackbeard is separate, but maybe that's like a realization here with Kuzan. And so as far as when Garp dies, maybe it's the moment he realizes he doesn't need to exist to like hold up the world for it to like continue on and exist. If he sees Kobe, Kuzan, Luffy, Dragon all carrying the mantle, maybe he's like, all right, like, you guys got this. I've existed for too long. So like it could be as soon as when we get an update, or it could be later on. But
so do you think he's surviving Pirate Island?
I don't think it makes sense to, like, because taking him prisoner doesn't make sense. As much as I want him to meet Garland, or Garling, I just feel like the current circumstances, like, unless if Blackbeard doesn't show up, sure, he can get out. But then, like, what does that mean for Kuzan and everyone else? Like, do they stalemate? Do they come to an agreement? Do they just walk out? But, like, how do they leave? You know what I mean? So, like, I feel like it doesn't make sense for the parties just to dissipate at this point. I feel like Garp gets captured, which also just doesn't make sense. But then there is the line of thinking where it's like Pudding takes his memories. We see God Valley through there. I did like that idea. I talked about that at the last Reverie. But I feel like I'm still on the boat that he more or less dies. And that's a whole spark of like, yeah, like a bunch of people are motivated, antagonized by Blackbeard, by the whole situation. Pirates are bad. This is Pirate Island taking down the Marine hero. I think this would be the Marines equivalent of Kaido and Whitebeard. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of, I think that this needs to happen. So I feel like it will happen. Will Oda do it?
Who knows, man? Who knows?
Yeah.
Will Oda pull the punch on Garp?
Yeah.
Here's another question then that kind of stems off of that. If Garp does fall here, who do you think will do it? Do you think the people currently on Hachinosu could take Garp down? Or do you think that Blackbeard needs to come home? I feel like, because here's where I was. When we first got to Pirate Island, I was like, oh, dude, Blackbeard's gonna beat Garp. If Blackbeard's here, I think, for me, that would have, like, sealed the deal that Garp is dead. But now that, like, we know that Blackbeard isn't here, it's like, that's a rough one, right? Because, we have Kuzan, your favorite man, Vasco Shot, Avalo Pizarro, San Juan Wolf, and Shiryu. That's all we have. And it's like, yeah, they're strong. But are they Garp strong? It's like how we talked about the Scabbards taking on Kaido versus taking on King. It's like, yeah, they could probably beat, like, a lot of YCs, right? But as far as Garp, though, that's a different monster. I don't know.
It is hard because between Shiryu and Kuzan, I feel like they should be strong enough to deter. It's like, can Zoro and Sanji stop an admiral, right? Can they beat an admiral? I feel like a lot of people, if Zoro and Sanji combined took on an admiral, yeah, like, we're not talking about Green Bull in this moment, because I think a lot of people think that Zoro could solo. I did a poll on that. I think most people thought that was the case, and then a lot of people were like, Zoro can't solo an admiral right now. But, like, as far as is it a stalemate? Is it like 15 days? Like, all those, we can't talk that much about that. But, like, I feel like I'm in the same boat. If Blackbeard showed up, locked in, Garp is dead. I think there's still a chance Blackbeard does show up, because we have, like, the warp powers. I don't know, like, what other things can be, like plot twist can be there, but like but I think the moment Blackbeard shows up, it seals it for me. As far as the people there, I think my understanding was if it's the people there, the most that they could do is subdue
Garp.
Yeah. I don't think it makes sense to, like, even as much as I think that Kuzan is really strong, and I think Shiryu is really strong, or at least I want Shiryu to be really strong, I just feel like it's weirder to think that they would kill him. Like, or not that they would kill him. I think Shiryu would kill Garp if given the opportunity to. Like, if he would be like, yo, this is too scary. Like, why are we trying to imprison this man? I was in the Navy. This guy is cracked out. I'm going to just kill him the moment I can, right? So it's like, even the subdue thing is really weird. Because, like, if Kuzan plus the island man, they're all able to subdue Garp, which, again, like, I'm asking everybody, tell me how you do that. Because he doesn't have a devil fruit, right? Like, you can tell me that, like, that's how they subdued Kaido. But, like, no. Kaido just was hungry. At the end of the day, they had him in Punk Hazard and he broke out. Like, I don't know what they meant by, like, they tried to, like, what the narrator meant by, like, oh, they tried to kill Kaido. Like, I don't think they tried, like, at all. Like, what did they do? Like, you can't tell me if they had, like, the 3 admirals just roll up on Kaido while he's, and Garp and Sengoku, and they actually tried to kill Kaido, that they couldn't. That just doesn't make sense to me, right? So, but, like, at the end of the day, you can say, like, oh, they, like, acupunctured him with a bunch of sea stone, and then they like you know, chained him up, all that stuff. Sure, devil fruit, but you can't say that about Garp. It's the same thing that I said about Kobe. It's like that ball and chain was doing overtime on Kobe. This guy who fought a torpedo is locked down by a ball and chain. I'm like, that must be the heaviest balls in the goddamn verse.
Poneglyph balls, bro.
Yeah, poneglyph balls. And like so, like, you can't do that to Garp. Like, how many balls do you need, right? Like, if we're to power scale by balls, then you need like millions of the balls that Kobe got, and just surround Garp by a bunch of balls, and then maybe you lock him down. But, like, still, we saw in his introduction, he threw 1,000,000 balls, right? Like, he took a bunch of cannonballs and he said, this is light work for me, and he lifted up a giant cannonball out of his pocket universe and just tossed that shit. And I'm like, if he's tossing that, what are you gonna do to Garp? What are you gonna do? So, like, I think he has to die. I think, like,
it's like imprisoning Luffy, right? Like in Udon prison. Remember when they tried to imprison Luffy and Luffy just trained? And then he was like, hey, like, just send all your fighters here, right? Like, just send your fighters. Hey, Queen, you want to fight? Like, Luffy was just egging for it, man. Like, and he was chained up. They put sea stone on him, and he didn't care. Yeah. He was weakened, like, and everything. He was like, I'm just going to use hockey. It's fine.
And the problem is Garp already has the prison bod. He already has the post, like...
Yeah, he already looks like Uncle Iroh. I mean...
Yeah.
Well, how much higher can you go from there?
Leg day is the only thing he needs, but let me tell you, the moment he starts using his legs, it's over for everybody, right? Like, yeah. So I think I like what Oda's doing, but I feel like whatever direction, it's kind of like it's like it's delicate. It's very delicate with a character like Garp.
Yeah. He's a fan favorite character, and people are expecting big things from him in his death. So if Oda mishandles it, it's like, ooh, you know, like, how is he going to play this out?
Yeah, from a power perspective, emotional perspective, from narrative perspective, this character is like the cornerstone for the D-Clan, for the Marines, for Luffy, for, like,
Kuzan,
so much.
Even.
I mean,
Kuzan and Kobe are there. I feel like that's a great dynamic. If Garp does fall, you're going to see, like, his future pupil, or his newest pupil versus his oldest pupil, both witnessing it, and maybe they'll have the same takeaway, maybe different takeaways. Maybe this is what brings Kuzan back to our side. Like, I don't know. There's a lot here,
and, like, so
it can get sad.
So, like, to throw in, this is, you know, to show you guys that I'm not biased and I can't separate myself from the agendas, is that I think I do kind of prefer a world where Garp exits the story sooner rather than later. Because the sooner he leaves, the sooner my man Bogard comes in.
Nope. The Bogard is forgotten, bro. If Garp's right-hand man hasn't been shown, I don't know what to tell you.
No, he's not. He's in here.
So Bogart's here.
Bogart's where's Smoker right now?
I think Smoker is going to Empty Bluffs Island.
No. I'm not asking you where he's going. I'm saying where is he in the chapters?
Where is Smoker?
Yeah, where's Smoker?
They're hiding
shown
him.
And they're hiding it. Oda didn't forget about Smoker.
At least
Even
Smoker
though all
shows
the
up for
Marines-
movies. What are you talking about? You can't compare Smoker to Bogart. What?
Hey, Bogart showed up in Film Z, I think, and Strong World.
Hey, maybe he did. But let me tell you, Smoker has shown up in Stampede and Film Red.
Yeah,
Wait, no,
but
he
all
didn't.
I'm
Not Film
saying
Red,
is that in
but-
the manga, he's not. All the Marines are deployed. Where's Smoker? The Rogue Ones went to Hachinosu. Where's Smoker? Tashiki's there. Where's
Comparing
Smoker?
Smoker to Bogart is kind of wild. That's a wicked agenda.
Hey, and I would say comparing Smoker to Ace is kind of wild, but or Yamato is kind of wild. But look at what we have to do. Look at what we have to do.
Well, but we agreed that comparing them is a joke, though.
Hey, all I know is that Oda loves jokes, and so as far as what he does with Garp, he better not be joking.
So,
you know what I mean? 'Cause-
realistically, do you think Bogart's gonna be huge here?
I think there's a huge opportunity. I think the moment we climb over
Okay,
the
huge
Egghead
opportunity is one thing. Do you think Bogart's gonna make an appearance here, though?
yeah.
You think Bogart's gonna make an appearance at Hachinosu?
Oh, no, at Hachinosu, no, but I think by the end of Egghead, I basically in the video I was basically saying that like if he doesn't show up by the end of Egghead, I'm down to lower my stocks, but like
You're gonna sell it off, yeah.
I think I'm
being
locked
sold.
in for Egghead. Like I think there's just too much on Egghead. Everything lines up down to the goddamn movie he's referencing. It's Egghead. It's like
All
it's
right.
perfect.
Like don't get me wrong, I don't dislike Bogart, and it's not like I don't want him to come back. It's simply the percentage of Bogart coming back is lower rather than higher. It's not on his side.
Yeah.
So that is why I'm like I don't know, man.
Hey, all I'm saying is
So
Bogart was casted
if
for
Bogart
live
comes
action.
back, right?
Yeah.
Does he play a huge role though?
Yes. Like all the other right hands.
Okay.
Every man knows how important the right hand is.
So you think Bogart's going to be absolutely massive?
Yeah, just like every man's right hand. Way stronger than the left hand.
All right.
Yeah.
I got you. So now I'm curious. Now I'm curious. Now I got to ask the big question.
Yeah.
The Blackbeard Pirates.
Uh-huh.
Homeboy Vasco Shot.
Cut. You just end it right there. Your homeboy and then ends and then everyone's like, what did
So Vasco Shot.
uh
One-on-one against Garp. Who's winning?
Toughy. It's definitely I think he's gonna we've never seen drunk drunk Garp would be crazy.
Yeah, that would be pretty cracked. Drunken Fist is a
Yeah.
thing, man. We saw Kaido whip it out. I think Garp has it in him too.
Could you imagine like Garp accidentally not being able to control his haki? Like Kaido got stronger according like his haki was elevated when he was drunk, according to Luffy. Imagine Garp can't hold back when he's drunk and he just
This
accidentally
galaxy impacts left and right.
Yeah, like the entire rock formation is just gone, and he's like, "Oh man, what did I do yesterday?" And he's just like forgetting, and then he just jumps, and then he lands back at like Meridra, and he's like, "Wait, wasn't I supposed to do something?"
What's happening? Where's Kobe? Kobe's like dead on the floor from the hockey.
yeah, he just accidentally kills everybody. Yeah, I think that the thing is like Vasco has all the propensity to make Garp stronger. You know what I mean? Like
It's just foil.
yeah, like everything that Vasco stands for looks like he's round, and then the Garp not the Garp, the drunkenness. Like I think Garp just everything buffs Garp. It's just easy. You know?
The real question behind this was: do you think the Blackbeard Pirates here? Do you think they're awakened? I know we talked about
Yes.
this before too, but you're still in the camp that they're all awakened.
I think they have to be. I think it's either they awaken. I think it makes more sense to me that they're already awakened, but I think I'm on the boat that they will awaken. If they're not at the start, then in this fight they might awaken. But I feel like it's like Law and Kid, right? Like,
yeah,
like, does Kid really know his power? No, he doesn't. He doesn't know his power. Stop it. Stop that noise. But then he comes up to like, like I awakened a long time. Stop it. Like, if Kid can awaken his fruit, everybody on Blackbeard's crew is awakened. Nobody can tell me otherwise. Like, they literally fit their thing. I haven't put out that video yet, but I have the thumbnail, and I'm like, you know, that was a video that got deprioritized. But hey, maybe if we start getting Pyre Island, I'll post up that video.
All right.
I think
I'm in
it
the
makes
same boat.
sense.
I like it.
Yeah, I think it makes more sense. And I think it's like, you know, like when you really think about it, I feel like because the way Straw Hats are portrayed on Onigashima, it's like we got the core moments, right? But besides like Sanji and Zoro, like, did we really get like that much time to these other characters on the Straw Hat crew? Not really. Robin was probably more, but like even hers was kind of like much quicker in reality. So it's like, are we gonna get that kind of fleshed out dialogue from the Blackbeards to make it meaningful that they get awakened in the midst of their fight? It's like, maybe, like, you know, like Garp starts beating. It'd be crazy, right? Like, imagine Garp just beating down on them and they're like, oh, naruhodo, and then they're just like, I understand my fruit now.
We have like a whole two chapter breakdown of Vasco Shot's backstory and everything, just to build up to the awakening. That'd be kind of cool. I would like that.
Like, I imagine this like more closely than them awakening in the middle of the fight. I imagine them like getting beat down, right? And then like, but all of their beat down, they all did like an incremental thing, and then they all kind of like look at each other, not like in a teamwork way, and then they're like they're just like, who's are you gonna go first? Like, you know, they kind of like, bro, I'll do it when you do it. You know what I mean? Like, they're kind of antagonizing each other, and then someone just takes the charge, and then they all awaken, and then they're like, they were like, I was waiting for you to do it. You know what I mean? Like some kind of like teamwork that's reluctant and broken, but at the end of the day, it's still teamwork. And then they pull out the, damn, I didn't know, like, you need to set up this for this thing, and then they're like, shut up, idiot. And then, like, you know, that kind of camaraderie. And then
it's gonna be like the antithesis of the Straw Hats. It's there. I feel it.
Yes.
This fight is gonna be like the Straw Hats versus Oars Junior, or Big Oars, I guess. Where
it's like it's not trust, right? Because like the Straw Hats at the end of the day don't know what each of them are capable of. They're just like, yeah, Zoro was just gonna beat him. I don't know how, but he wins. Sanji, he's just gonna show up. That's what happened on Egghead, right? Like Robin's like, oh, little do they know that when a woman cries, like she said some crazy thing like that, and then Sanji's just like, huzzah, and then showed up, and it's like, that's just trust, blind trust. She has no knowledge of how he got there, what he did to
how
do
he
anything.
can even hear people from that far. Like, that's some crazy observation. Like,
Whereas,
Sanji has the best observation in the crew.
Right. And like, you know, where it comes to like Nami and Usopp, like I think Arabasta, right? Like Nami just blindly trusted Usopp, like, oh, he built the ghost crack staff, and then she goes through it and her trust is broken all the way through until she got to the hurricane tempo, which was arguably still bad, and then it worked. And it's like, that's like a blind trust because like these are people you care about, right? I think the Blackbeard pirates are gonna be the opposite, and that was what I talked about in my Blackbeard video, where it's essentially like they are confident in each other. Like they know what each other is capable of, and that's why they trust each other. It's not that they have blind trust, it's that they are only gonna lock themselves in. And then here's the thing, that's where the separation comes. Like the moment they think that their comrade can't overcome something, they're like, oh no, I'm running. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't you kidding me? I just saw him get his
pirates. I'm just a commoner.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if they, for example, if they saw, like, let's say Shiryu, right, took Ikoku sovereignty from Kaido and Big Mom, all his bones are broken, right? And then like his crew saw that, and then like his crew, or Shiryu now has to face King, and Shiryu's like, I got this, believe in me. And then like the crew would be like, No, I'm good. No, I just saw you get all your shit rocked, right? Because at the end of the day, to believe in Zoro after he broke all of his bones, that some random person's medicine is gonna save you, he's gonna get up and fight King. Like, honestly, it's a crazy friend to think like, hey, Zoro, like, you don't have to fight this. I can handle it. But the Straw Hats are like, no. Luffy's dead. I still believe in him. No, I feel like the moment they hear like, oh, Shiryu's dead. Yeah, let's run, guys. Peace out. Gone. You know what I mean? Like Blackbeard is separate. Their belief in Blackbeard is a little separate in my book. But I feel like if they visually saw, like, if the Straw Hats visually saw Luffy die, they would still like believe in him, right? Versus like if the Blackbeard Pirates visually saw Blackbeard die, they'd be like, nah, it's wraps, guys. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how I see it. Like, the Straw Hats can see Luffy get submerged in the ocean and be like, he's coming. Don't mark my words, that boy is coming back.
They didn't even have to worry about him. They were just like,
they didn't even have to swim.
Luffy will come back at some point. They're probably just lying.
Yeah, exactly. Like, regardless of how it is, that's kind of how the separation goes, right? And I feel like that is an important dichotomy, because at the end of the day, the Straw Hats are like a little crackhead, like a lot of crackhead. Like, you shouldn't blindly believe in your friends that much. But it's like a romantic thing to do, like in real life. I think that there's a balance in between. But the Blackbeard Pirates are kind of like, you know, they're
the opposite.
Yeah.
The easiest way to put it. They're the opposite.
Yeah. Exactly.
So with all the Blackbeard Pirates, so right now Garp is fighting Kuzan, right, 1-on-1.
Yeah.
Do you think the Blackbeard Pirates are gonna jump in and help Kuzan?
Yes.
Because I feel like they will too. Because normally we get like 1-on-1 fights, but I feel like as far as the Blackbeard Pirates go, I feel like they're gonna fight dirty, and that's really their only way to probably subdue or take down Garp. Like, if they had a chance, it's not in a 1-on-1 scenario. If it's a 1-on-1, you gotta vote for Garp.
I would have liked it if the crew there, or Blackbeard's crew, was Shiryu, Kuzan, and Lafitte. And I off the top of my head, I can't remember more. Maybe you could throw Pizarro in there, and the reason why is they would all be defectors of like the world government and navy, and that would have been really sick for Garp to take on, right? We have the previous like warden, whatever. Lafitte was a soldier, not marine captain, but like peace an army officer. Captain, peace officer. And then Kuzan, admiral, ex-admiral, right? It would have been, I would have liked that lineup, and you know, so as far as them ganging up on Garp, I think they have to. I feel like they have to. And that honestly lines itself up with like their lack of belief in each other. Do they know Kuzan can win? I mean, after Blue Hole, I think it's reasonable to think that like, hey, you need help, right? As far as them ganging up on Garp, it kind of, I see it playing out. I think it's going to be interesting because this is the way Oda can demonstrate that like how Blackbeard's crew will be depicted in the future.
Yeah.
And this is gonna, I think what we're getting right now is the appetizers. Like, I've been saying this for the longest time. Wano was the appetizers for the last saga, but I think Egghead is like the straight up, like the soup or salad before the entree. Like, this is, you're going to get a good fill of like the quality of the restaurant, and the restaurant being the last saga. And I think we are going to be eating well, because the amount that's been shown and the amount that has been teased, you can very easily see how all of this scales up, right? Like, Shanks, we got one hit. Garp, one hit. And now it's like, you take that, scale it up to like where God Valley is gonna go, scale it out to probably, right? It's not like we're gonna end the story on God Valley. No, we're gonna end the story with Luffy fighting the top tiers, right? And so I really like what's happening right now. I need to know how much longer is in the Egghead arc. That's my main question. Are we right? Are we right that Egghead's gonna be 20 more chapters, since like we said, like 10 chapters ago, where it's gonna like go to the end of the year or something like that? Because at this rate, maybe we were right.
Maybe it
but
does.
Was the context of why we thought that right? Probably not, because I don't think at the time when we said that, we thought that we are going to get a huge detour to Shanks, to Garp, to the Reverie, to Gorosei, to V Nusojuro, like all this crazy stuff, right? To Cobra. Oh man, it's wild. It is so wild.
I think I got 2 last questions for you.
All right, hit me.
You ready for this one?
Yeah.
Kobe. Do you think Kobe's going to help Garp during this the fights on Hachidosu, or do you think he's going to take a side seat for it? Because I think I think he's just going to chill.
I think he helps to a small degree.
Yeah.
Like I think it's like a moment he recognizes how far the ceiling is, and he just has to like watch. But the separation is like Blackbeard versus Boa. He was a spectator, right? So I feel like in this moment, I don't think he can be a full spectator again. I think that's like not damaging to his character, but I don't think it's conducive to like what he stands for as like in this moment. He was just touted as a future of the Navy. We saw the respect he got from Sword, so much so that Sword unilaterally came for him. I feel like he has to have a good showing. And so as far as how he helps, I think it's like he frees all the people. That's a lot. He gets Moria out. Moria respects him. That's a lot. I think that there's probably a moment where Garp like protects him and says, yo, just protect everybody on their way out, right? I feel like at the end of the day, probably the best way Garp leaves is him being alone. Like him like taking the last battalion to save all the civilians, all the weaker Navy members in their escape, because at the end of the day, he's facing an island man, a man who can freeze the ocean, a man who is a giant with the giant. Like these are AoE monster gods. And like even if you took one of them, I think a lot of characters would have a difficulty playing bodyguard, right? So if Garp successfully bodyguards them, that's an incredible showing. I think if Kobe also is like on the latter half of that, protecting all the civilians, getting everyone out, and he successfully gets everyone off while Garp like alley-oops him that W, right? Then you get like a really great portrayal on both sides. And I think that's a great way to show that like Kobe is competent. He didn't do nothing. He earns the respect. That's the torch being passed on from Garp. There's like so many ways that plays out. So I feel like as far as him being a straight up spectator, like on Amazon Lily, no. But so when you said chilling, I think you agree with some of what I'm saying with
no
chilling,
entirely. Yeah. Chilling, I mean like not fighting.
Yeah.
I can see him getting everybody out of there, rescuing Moria. But I think one of the reasons why I think he is going to chill is because of Hibari. Just like how back in Long Ring Longland, they froze Robin. And then their first instinct was, oh, we have to get her on board. We got to get out of here. We got to save her real quick. I feel like that's how Kobe's going to be. Like, hey, I need to protect Hibari. I need to get everybody off this damn island. And plus that ball and chain that weighs like 5 megatons. Like that's on his like still, right? Like that we can't underestimate that ball and chain. So
there's another
I feel
route
like that's
too.
what he's going to do. And then I feel like Garper's going to die for him.
Yeah, that is the most likely route, but the opposite route. This is like the shonen. This is if Kobe was a main character. Hibari died. Like this is a darker shonen. Hibari dies in front of Kobe, and Kobe gets bloodlusted, and then he awakens, goes Super Saiyan 2. Like
awakens against Vasco Shot.
Yeah,
it's time to fight these guys now.
Like he just starts eating people because of his like bloodlusted rage. Like it's the opposite of Marineford, right? Like it'd be crazy though. Now I think about it. Oh man, it'd be wild if he could still hear Hibari with his cracked observation hockey. That'd be kind of cool. But like he's about to go fight, and then Hibari's like, "No, Kobe, save me!" And then he's like, oh, "She's alive!" You know, something like that. But
just to get super shonen.
Yeah, super shonen. I'm not opposed to that. I want Kobe to get more. Like okay, here's my thing. I think, a lot of people may disagree with me. But I don't like it when things are half-assed. And unfortunately, in One Piece, when you have like 1,000 characters, and Oda loves all of his characters, you could tell by the design. But he can't devote that much story to it. And I feel like when people are upset, it's when their favorite character, gets half-assed. And I feel like Kobe is a character that he doesn't need to be your favorite character. you have to acknowledge he's an episode 1 or episode 2, chapter 2 character, right? So like, this is an important character. I feel like giving him some MC treatment like that, which he's already gotten, but like, I want it to be justified, right? Like, we can't skip like 400 chapters and then he's just beautiful and he's strong fighting torpedoes later on, and then like we just get like a montage of him like training. Like, I want to see him taking names, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm not discounting what he did, but like, I want him to not just get like off screen. I want him to get on screen love, you know?
Yeah,
so that's my thing with Kobe.
You want to see the playoffs. You want to see the potential.
Yeah, like
every
right
time. I agree, because right now we're just kind of believing that Kobe's a menace, right? Like, oh yeah, Kobe's like he does this, but when his best feat is a torpedo, it's like, okay, it's
and
cool and all, but like
Luffy
it's whatever.
Twice. Yeah.
What?
And getting punched by, because every time he got shown in the manga, chapter 432, like we were like, oh my god, he landed a hit on Luffy and then quickly just got knocked out. And then a Marineford, he's like, I'm gonna stop you, Luffy, boom. And then we're like, oh my god, at least he saw Luffy hit him, right?
Yeah.
Most people can't, you know. And then later on, we're like, you know, like now it's in order. We did the same thing with Green Bull. Green Bull is above 9 scabbards in total and below Shanks. Kobe is above a torpedo and below getting punched by Luffy in the face, right? Like, so what does that mean? You tell me.
Those are the worst things to power scale by. Getting punched by Luffy, which was, you know, I'd say emotionally turmoil, right? Like, we're like, Law was going through emotional things to Dressrosa. Kobe, whenever he runs into Luffy, getting pretty emotional.
Yeah.
And then a torpedo. It's like, cool.
Yeah, so moral of the
a
story,
bomb in the
guys,
water. Sick.
Moral of the story, guys, the best way to make friends is punch them in the face, because Kobe loves Luffy. Is that Stockholm?
It's the fist of love, bro.
Oh,
it's
my
like
God.
Garp. It's the fist of love. What are you talking about?
You're right.
Yeah.
Luffy. Short coming to a video near you. Woo.
Short coming to a video near you.
I don't know.
That's such a scuffed sentence.
Yeah, that's a scuff channel. Whatever, guys. You understood what I'm saying. It's early and I'm tired, but yeah.
Hey, I don't disagree. It is super early, but last thing now. Not Hachinosu. Egghead Island. We got the Blackbeard ship coming in. Who's on board? I think when we talked about it, I forgot your answer. But I think it's just Lafitte and Devon. I think it's just 2 people. But that's where I'm sitting right now. That's where my stocks are at. How do you feel? Do you think Blackbeard's here? Do you think the whole gang's here? Or do you think it's just Devon and Lafitte, the 2 people that are missing? Which is why I think it's them. I think it's because Blackbeard and his gang are with Law, or on Winter's Island still. And then we got the boys at Hachinosu. The only people missing are Lafitte, Devon. I feel like it makes sense that those are the 2 on board. But I have seen theories that, you know, obviously, the warp fruit exists. Blackbeard could just warp over here. Maybe the timeline is scuffed. Maybe Egghead Island is like a stone's throw away and they just showed up. That's still in the cards, but right now I'm just going to go with the simple answer that it's maybe just the 2 of those guys. How do you feel? Where are you at?
Honestly, I'm going to admit it. I have not taken the timeline into account. I feel like whenever we talk about the timeline, our brains get frazzled, and I feel like Oda's doing that on purpose. And so as far as like, we could play around, like you said, warp fruit's involved, Blackbeard's involved, like this man's everywhere all at once, like it's just the thing. So hey, maybe the theory that he has multiple personalities, multiple clones, he's triplets, whatever, he's in multiple places. I agree with you in the sense of I think the most baseline understanding of the events is Devon and Lafitte are there, and I think it would just kind of make sense because it's like Devon has the clone stuff, Lafitte's just like an infiltration god, right? He's always that person. And then that ties into the Hattori theory, but like as far as you know, like I kind of want Blackbeard to go to Egghead. Like I feel like narratively it makes sense for him to go there, but like like I just said, like timeline wise, I feel like it kind of just doesn't make sense that Blackbeard is not there. But you know, where does he go after Winter's Island? Does it make sense for him to recoup and go to Pirate Island, or does it make sense for him to go to Egghead? Because at the end of the day, right, if you are on the boat that York is working with Blackbeard, that's one popular thought. And then another, I think, popular thought, or at least I've been thinking this, is that the Blackbeard crew is probably going to call Blackbeard and tell him, yo, Garp is here. What you want us to do? How do we do this? And then Blackbeard's faced with the situation where he has to split up his crew. And he has to choose which side he has to go to. And which one makes more sense for him to personally go to. I feel like it makes sense to go to Garp. Because he wants to protect Pirate Island.
Yeah, because Garp will destroy that place. Like, we're already on the fence if those guys can even handle Garp, right? Like, we think Garp is probably gonna die, but I think me and you are in the same boat. Like, Kuzan, Shiryu, Vasco, Shot, like, are they enough, though? Like, I don't... Yeah, it's like, still a rough thing to get over.
We saw Blackbeard square up against Garp at Marineford.
Yeah.
And he called him like, yo, like he said he wasn't ready for Shanks, but he was fully ready for Sengoku and Garp for some reason.
Yeah, he was like confident almost. He was like, well, let's take these boys on, these old dogs.
Yeah. And so like, you know, there is a world where he sits back and is like, oh, Kuzan can handle it. Shiryu can handle it. I believe in them. Or there's the world
believe
where
in my Nakama.
There's the world, I think the more sane world where he already demonstrated a care for the safe, the preservation of Pirate Island, right? Because he was like, oh no, like don't burn my island down. It's like, bro, you have an island, man, like stop crying. But whatever, he demonstrated that care. So yeah, having Garp run rampant on your island's kind of a problem. Also on top of that, without Garp, it's like Kobe was already escaping with slaves. Like, yo, Blackbeard, what do you want us to do? Do we like actually fight this man? And like you captured him, what do you want us to do? All this stuff, right? But then at the same time, there is a world where he goes to Egghead because Vegapunk is really important. If he truly is in cahoots with York and he finds out that Luffy's there, he finds out that the Marines are gonna like Leloucia it or destroy it or whatever, confiscate it, Blackbeard could maybe want to go there for the Devil Fruit stuff, because at the end of the day, above anything else, I think what people have to understand is Blackbeard's major priority in the story so far canonically has been Devil Fruits. And so you have like the Devil Fruit like blueprints just sitting there, and if he's working with York, I think it makes sense he goes there too. So that's where I'm kind of split. I feel like that's where I want to twist the timeline, where it's like maybe he goes to Egghead, he takes what he wants, and then warps back to Pirate Island. I don't know, but I think as far as who's going there first, maybe there's a vanguard. Maybe there's a vanguard of his crew that goes there first to just take stuff. Because if at the end of the day, all he needs from Egghead is stuff, send people to take it, right? Like if pudding's that important, why didn't he go there personally? He sent Aokiji and Van Augur. So maybe he sends Van Augur with Lafitte and them, and then they steal stuff and then they warp. That's where it's really, you know, I don't know what to do with it, but I think bare minimum, the infiltration squad, warping guy, clone lady, and the silent tap shoes mime guy. Perfect group for this. That's what I think.
I'm in the same boat. I feel like those are the ones going there, minus maybe Van Augur. I feel like he could be there. Like we said, warp fruit, what's the distance? How often can he do it? We have no clue. If he can show up, cool. If he doesn't, cool. As far as Blackbeard goes, it would be like you said, like it's whether he goes to Hachinosu or Egghead, they both make so much sense, which is the hard part. Like Egghead Island is such an important island just because of all of the technology. If Blackbeard could just warp over and just quickly suck it off, I think that would be the best scenario, and then go to Hachinosu. Like imagine, because we know the Yami fruit absorbs everything. Imagine if he just goes there, absorbs the island, and then bounces. Like that would be so broken. I don't think he can do that, but I feel like that'd be kind of cool. Like maybe he can, and then we're gonna have Saint Saturn who witnesses this, and he's like, exactly what happened to God's Valley, I see. The Yami Yami no Mi is here again. Like, maybe we get something like that, and then it triggers the God's Valley flashback. But
something.
One way or another, I feel like Blackbeard has more reasons. I'm on the same boat. He has more reasons to go to Hachinosu. I feel like Garp is just such an imminent threat to him. Like, when you think about it, Garp is running the smoke by Blackbeard and his crew, whereas Luffy and Saturn and Egghead, that's off to the side. He can come back to this later. Garp is here now, right? Like, Garp is actually destroying things. It's like if I were to say, hey, Par, there's a sale at Best Buy, right? We gotta go. It's Black Friday. Everything's half off. Like, we gotta hop in the car and go there right now before Saint Saturn and the geriatric patients just wipe it all out. But also, you get a phone call from your wife and kid, and they're like, hey, Par, somebody's breaking into our house. There's a home invader. He has a gun. Where would you go, right?
Fire.
Yeah, the house is on fire. Would you say, oh, sorry, guys, I'm going to go inside a Best Buy real quick, right? like what would you do, right? Like, put yourself in that scenario.
Yeah.
It's extreme, but let me tell you, I feel like you go home.
And this is why I appreciate you. You just took everything I said and just boiled it down to a very reasonable thing. And that's even more so why I think we agree. And I feel like...
And you can send your homeboy. Like, you could tell me what you want from Best Buy. I could buy it for you while you go home. There you go.
What are you going to do for... Like, what does the clone fruit do for me in a fire? What does actually, like, touching Garp and then cloning him is kind of cracked, but like, what does Lafitte do against Garp, right? Like, there's certain, I mean, they gotta, like, that's where the power stuff twists and like what is possible in the story. But like, yeah, baseline narrative wise, it's like house is on fire, Black Friday sale. Yes, we've heard stories of people going to the Black Friday sale, but like, I feel like Blackbeard goes to the fire and he sends people to the Black Friday sale. I think just like...
Yeah, he has the people, which is the biggest thing too. Like, he doesn't have to be there. If he trusts his people, he can just say, hey, do this for me while I do this. Because like, there's some things that only Blackbeard can do, right? Just like how there's some fights that only Luffy can fight. Luffy was the only one that could fight Kaido, right? Nobody.
Yeah, it's like not like Usopp.
I guess some people looked at Zoro and were like, "Hey, ZKK," but yeah, nobody's looking at Usopp and saying, "Hey, take off Kaido's head." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's essentially what's happening here on Hachinosu. You got like a bunch of crew members here, and then do you think Blackbeard's gonna say, "Oh yeah, they can handle Garp, no big deal. I don't have to show up." No, I feel like Garp is a Blackbeard level opponent. Like, he needs to go home.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with that.
So, last thing, what do you think they're gonna steal from Egghead? I think you were on board with the like the devil fruit research. Is that the main thing that you think they're gonna take?
It has to be. It's like I'm torn between like Sky Island, Seraphim, and devil fruit research, right? Like either all, or maybe it's just the Seraphim, because like he showed interest in it. He was like taken aback that they exist in a way. They were like, what? Like he described Lunarians and he saw them and he's like, huh? Brown skin, white hair, wings? Is that what old man Whitebeard was talking about?
I need to kidnap these things.
Yeah, like, so it's like, you know, as far as what, I think I'm on the boat. He wants everything.
Yeah.
As far as what he leaves with, that's the plot twist. I think that's like, if Blackbeard does in fact successfully take something from Egghead, it's probably in this moment, it's probably going to be a surprise, I feel like, because devil fruit's kind of where you want to go with, but like maybe he only wants natural devil fruits, right? Like, you know, because you go to a world where like smiles exist in the story, and the underground market knows about smiles, artificial devil fruits. If you are a prominent person in the underground, you probably knew about smiles because Caesar was not advertising them, but like he was making them, and like Doflamingo was there. Like, I don't know, it's just like, it just makes too much sense that like artificial devil fruits are probably known to a certain extent, maybe not widespread, but maybe Blackbeard knows. So it's like, if those were like something Blackbeard kind of like cared for, I'd figure he'd go after Vegapunk sooner, right? Yeah. I feel like, considering the things that Blackbeard has done, I feel like going after Vegapunk sooner is something that I'm like, I wonder why he hasn't. And there's a lot of logic behind why he hasn't. I get that. But it's like now it's like he teamed up with, if he teamed up with it, that means he was talking with them. So like if the team up didn't result in him getting the stuff anyways, then what is he going there for, right? That's where I'm kind of like, you know, it's interesting, because that's another point that I didn't bring up. But like, as far as the team up thing goes, it's weird because people say they teamed up. Maybe he doesn't have all the information, but he was taken aback by the Seraphim, which is basically the magnus opus for Vegapunk at this moment, right? And so like he was like, what are these? And so that like kind of tells you like if he did team up with York did not tell him about Seraphim at all. So, you know, what is he going for? Maybe it's a Seraphim over the devil fruits, right? If it's at this point, maybe York already shared the devil fruit information. That was the trade, right? But once he saw the Seraphim on Amazon Lily and realized from Kobe that they're from Vegapunk, that's why he'd be like, oh, this Vegapunk thinks they're smarter than me. They're trying to pull one over, hiding Seraphim from me? No way. And then they go for the Seraphim. Maybe that's the route. I don't know. Maybe,
and not to mention, he sent the best people to kidnap Seraphim there too.
Or at least
can
clone.
Hypnotize. And then you have Devon, who could maybe become Kobe and be like, hey, Seraphim, let's get on board the Blackbeard ship.
True. If Devon
case.
can, that's going to be a knock on my book. If Devon can just imitate Kobe and then just take over the authority chip, Vegapunk's going to have... There's not defending that. Like making it like straight up voice commanding in a world where you created clones. Like you made clones. Like one of your shitty scientist friends makes clones for a living. And there's devil fruits that make clones. Like you know that this exists. So like why not make it harder than, I don't know, whatever.
We'll see how it goes down. Because one way or another, even if, you know, Devon does show up and becomes Kobe and somehow that does work and it is voice activated, there's still people with higher authority than Kobe there, right? Like Saturn's there, 2 Vegapunks are still alive, so it's like dang, or 3 Vegapunks are still alive. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of wild. But hey,
it is.
Thank you, Par, for stopping by.
Thank you.
Stopping by,
Always
talking about your good boy Vasco Shot and everybody here.
Oh my god.
Yeah. When I said, I remember earlier today, I was like, hey, Par, we're gonna talk about Hachinosu. You jumped for joy. You said Vasco, and you sent me a lot of pictures of Vasco Shot in his nose, and I was like, man, this guy's going crazy. I need to mute him for a little bit.
At this point, everybody knows my stances. Defending myself.
I already know what the thumbnail is gonna be too.